And now the conclusion to Otis Carr's A Message to the 20th Century. Do I think that within this codex there's the blueprints to a fourth dimensional spacecraft? Maybe. For me, it was just an interesting experience. I gained a lot of different perspectives and some new skills and new understandings and appreciations of that time. It was a very interesting time, the 50s, for a lot of this extraterrestrial UFO stuff. And there could be more to dig into there. However, look, I'll leave it up to you. The religious stuff was very heavy again. However, if you look at it as an allegory, maybe it's the key. Angus joined me again to finish this one off. Always like sitting down with Angus, and I really appreciate his time. And look, I think we're going to do some more readings. We're going to look into a few different things and explore this type of medium a bit more, because I think it has some value and is interesting and gives everybody a different perspective. I don't have too much more, guys. I really want you to get into this one. It is very interesting times. I'm still very, very concerned. However, always remember that you can find a space to learn, to enjoy company. The best things in life are free. Don't ever forget that. Be kind, be cool, stay safe, engage discipline, look after yourselves, and we'll talk soon. Cheers. Do you know what, mate? It's a three-peat. We're like the Bulls from the 90s, man. How long has it been since you did back-to-back podcasts?
Oh, right. Yeah. I was like, hey.
I don't know.
Shit, that's been a hot minute.
It's been a little while.
Probably,
a couple of years, I would say.
Yeah, it's been a fair while.
Yeah. Which is awesome, man. I've really enjoyed your company going on this journey with Otis.
Me too. It feels like the beginning of something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like this should be a new section.
Yeah, look, I have thought about
obscure books. Like Otis Carr's, and just read obscure stuff.
Look, there could be legs to that. So we left off with Otis last week. After a cataclysm described as like a ball of light, like a nuclear blast.
Yep.
But it was brought on by the vanity of man.
Yep.
Or brought on through the vanity of man through Lucifer. Remember, Lucifer featured heavily in last week's episode.
Oh, I remember it being heavily religious.
Yeah. And I made a few little asterisks here before we crack on.
Oh, yeah.
Nuclear blast, right? You know how we've talked about... I had a few thoughts on this. First one was all the writings we see back through history are seen through the lens of their time.
Mm-hmm.
So he's describing a cataclysm about 10,000 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about.
Could be an impact event.
Well, what is the greatest cataclysm that he is aware of in 1958? Like, that's 13 years after the bomb was dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that is... And they were still regularly testing back then too, if you think about that. So, and the bombs were getting much bigger. So the only lens that he had to view that through was like a nuclear blast.
Yes. Yeah.
Then I thought... What about the nuclear glass that they're finding in India and the Vimana, and there's the evidence of nuclear type impacts with the trinitite and stuff like that have been found all over the globe.
Mm.
And there was talk of a war to end all wars between the whatever it is.
Yeah.
So maybe it could have been. But don't forget, and one of the pyramids we didn't get to, but we looked at it a little bit. There's that pyramid in Egypt that's exploded from the inside.
I don't remember it.
I do. But there is one that looks like it's exploded from the inside. And it's got char marks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it gets left off everything. And it's sort of behind, it's a bit out of the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not small, however, it looks like it's exploded from the inside.
Right.
And blasted that rock into the air, basically, right?
Yeah, cool.
what if we are talking about energy weapons? You know, let me take you back to the Ark of the Covenant powering the Great Pyramid, mate.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%.
What, you know, because there is that.
What if even if we did have cataclysmic comet impacts, what if those comets weren't random? What if they were directed? What if an alien technology got to such a level where instead of using their own energy, they just redirect large sections of rock out of the asteroid belt?
Well, you forget Bruce Fenton's work, where after the silicon, after the
silicon ship crashes,
they said, sort it out, or we're going to hit you from.
Yep.
We're going to throw rocks at you. Don't worry about your piddly little weapons. And then there's 5 impacts around the same time on 5 different sides of the planet, or 4 sides of the planet.
Yeah.
Which is not possible. Like the randomness of
And it seems to be, it doesn't matter if it's religious connotations or extraterrestrial. There always seems to be a good side and a bad side.
Isn't that interesting? Right
there's
here,
a light
I've got
and a dark.
Yeah. I've literally got in brackets here, dark versus light.
Yeah.
Okay, because he's looking through the religious lens.
Yep.
Of God and Lucifer.
Yep.
However, what I thought I would do, just as a little sidetrack, once upon a time, I in a land far, far away, I was quite into Lucifer and that story. Mm-hmm. Lucifer's a fallen angel. He wanted to bring the magic of heaven to earth, so God banished him here.
Yeah.
That's the actual story of Lucifer, right?
Yeah. Through my older, more experienced lens, Lucifer just sounds like a good guy to party. You know what I mean? He wasn't as he was a little bit more chaos and a little less, pull your socks up and put your fucking pens right in your top pocket sort of.
But I also
kind of guy that God was,
and he wanted to bring, as I say, God's magic down to earth.
He wanted to share God's magic.
He wanted to share,
God
exactly.
was like, no, they can't handle it. You can't handle the truth.
But see, is that not another, knowing what we know now with the reflections and knowledge that we have, is that not a story that repeats itself and repeats itself and repeats itself?
100%.
A higher intelligence, someone disobeys, they give them the technology. I mean, there's the other story of the fall of Atlantis, where Atlantis got too big for its boots and it used energy technology to its detriment, and something went catastrophically wrong, and everything blew up. Is he describing that? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many versions and variations of this same story, and I did hash asterisk Lucifer to say dark versus light. Palladians versus the Sirens. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, Palladians versus Orions, not Osirans. However, same thing. You know what I mean? There's a narrative here. And I think we are going to talk a little bit, Brothers of the Serpent, a little bit later, because the episodes that we're going through, what I wanted to put the lens through, just so we can, when we read this, he's writing this all around the same time that all this stuff's going down.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many avenues of extraterrestrial, UFO, weird occult magic type stuff going on in the 50s and into the 60s.
That's right.
That we're not.
The 20th century was its peak.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Like off the back of Crowley. Crowley fucking.
Well, this is in 58 is Crowley's time.
100%.
Yeah.
This is 100% Crowley's time.
Yeah.
I think he died in 70s.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So this is peak Crowley.
Yeah.
Like long enough that his original stuff is like taking hold now to the point where Crowley was all through the CIA and shit that. He had links to everything.
Yeah, it's all fascinating. I just wanted to put that lens through it, and
it's exactly the right time. You're 100% right. The 50s.
And I thought he's writing this through that lens as well, and he's talking about all these downloads. Like, remember, he's sitting in his study, and this is we're halfway through the story that he gets shown. I don't know, what does he do? Drop an acid trip in his study or something like that in 1958, and this is where reading his journey that he went on. This is what we're in the middle of at the moment. and how many other different people during that time were having these same downloads or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
And they always seem to be, it's the genius sort of thing.
Yeah.
As in, they always claim to not be the genius. They have a genius. They aren't a genius.
No, I don't think. Yeah, we are the muse. You know what I mean? The muse. Well, we think about the podcast, mate. This podcast has a life all of its own now. We're not, we are unlocking the code, but unlocking the code is its own entity now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, we also the story that we're in, basically, the other thing I wanted to talk on before we move on was the vanity of man, and vanity leads to hate. Hate leads to fear, right? I had not, when I listened to it again, I knew I'd thought about that, but when I listened to it again tonight, I actually paused it and went, oh, there's some wisdom in that, man. The vanity of man.
Yeah, 100%. And where it leads you to the dark side.
Leads you to the dark side, man. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, greed. He who dies with the most toys wins. Dog eat dog. Pretty much the reason. All that is the reason we're in the situation we're in right now. And interesting that we seem to have that failing.
Well, it's a wisdom that echoes throughout time.
Yeah,
we've been passing this down from the beginning of history. It's the stories that continue to echo over and over again. It's just another incarnation.
Absolutely. And again, he's saying in here, like everything else says, whether it's, extraterrestrials, demons, whatever, dark angels, blah, 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 love is the answer. Like, how many different ways do we need to be told love is the answer?
That's right.
Yeah. And do you know how much we don't have that message? The only time that this podcast has ever been brought down on all platforms was when I had the audacity to use Beatles, All You Need Is Love.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. Yep.
Like,
there you go. Oh, yeah.
That is how much we don't have that message.
Yeah, exactly. They are pretty notorious blockers, though.
Yeah, they are.
Even high-end YouTubers don't fuck with the Beatles.
Yeah, I know.
Because their shit gets taken down or copyrighted.
What would bloody John Lennon say? You know what I mean? Do you think he'd give a shit? Honestly, I don't think so.
That's speaking of the vanity of man. That was the words of his killer. That was that was his whole motivation, because Lennon was trying to speak for the average man, and it's like, but you're no longer the average man.
Yeah, right.
You don't represent us.
Oh,
because you can sit in a fucking hotel room with your mistress and survive.
Yeah.
And the average man can't take that kind of time out to make a statement. It's like, we don't have those kind of funds.
Yeah.
So that was I can't remember what that guy's name was.
No, I can't remember either.
But John Lennon's assassin's basically motivation. He was a fan, and he was appalled at
How
where
far
fame had taken
where he'd taken him.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, after there was the nuclear blast, God got the angels together.
Yes.
And they came down and cleansed the earth. They built the pyramid and the Sphinx in 3 days. They got after it, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it one block every 80 seconds or something like that? We worked it out to be way back in the day. So how many blocks is that in 3 days? We don't want to do those numbers. I didn't do it.
Those numbers. No, we're working with
20 years.
No, I thought it was 60, wasn't it?
No, 20. It's 20 years. Yeah.
Okay. But so fuck. 3 days.
The only other thing he said in there that I picked up on is that that the Sphinx was originally had the head of a human, whereas I don't think that, because the head doesn't match the body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's just
I know what you're saying. There's the Leo theory sort of train that you can go down. Yeah. Yep.
The angels heal the humans, but they only heal their mortal wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucifer, and the reason they could do that is Lucifer got his ultimate explosion that he was after.
Mm-hmm.
man corrupted themselves to the point where they destroyed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And he slept for 3 days. And then I thought, hang on a minute. God went away. Oh, Jesus went away for 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
3 days is everywhere.
Echoes.
Echoes
It's another one
to
of those,
all of those
like a
religions.
Symbolic
Yep.
period of time.
Yeah, 72 hours, 3 days. Yep, 72.
72.
There you go. Yep, 3, blah, 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 right? Just, yeah, there is an echo through time there. And the other thing that he said, you angels go to the mountains and to the caves where the last of my creation I hid from Lucifer, right? How many times have we heard that?
Yep.
That the advanced beings go into the cave, say, it's okay, you can come out now, we fixed it, we'll show you, it's all good. Isn't that, Göbekli Tepe, isn't that the story? You know what I mean? Like, that's the survivor story.
The tunnels, the underground cities.
Yeah, yeah. The basically the tunnel system that runs from Turkey to Scotland.
Yeah.
8 stories of tunnels that have no evidence of how they lit the tunnel.
Hmm.
So yeah, look, that's another thing that echoes, right? And then where we ended off, I'll end with the last paragraph. Because the angels pinned Lucifer through one of the forks in his tail using the piece of cedar from Lebanon, the devil's toothpick, which was the measuring stick to build the pyramid. That was one of the things he used to build the pyramid. And now...
Royal cubit.
Yeah, and now the conclusion. So here we are. Finally, he regained his feet. With a mighty heave, he freed his tail, leaving one of the forks behind in the rock. Placing the tip of his injured tail in his wicked mouth, which even then did not muffle his screams of rage, blasphemy, and fear, he fled far, far away from the valley of the Nile to the land of the Hindu and the Chinese, where he stayed for many a day. So that's the Indians and the Chinese, right? So there's how many pyramids and different pieces, bits of megalith stuff are in India and China, okay? Just, you know what I mean? Whether, if this is an advanced megalithic or alternate civilization representatives, you know what I mean? Like there's that sort of narrative, yeah. So we're in new territory now, mate. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Righto.
Let's get it on.
So far as is known, this is the only wound Lucifer ever received. And if some diligent archaeologist of thy present era, little one, should happen to find a petrified section of an unclassified reptilian vertebra in the area of the Sphinx, his find will be rare indeed. A petrified section of an unclassified reptilian vertebra.
Yeah, well, the symbolism of Lucifer putting his tail in his mouth.
Yeah.
If you were to think of Lucifer as reptilian.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we'll leave the reptilian thing there. There was many a smile on the faces of the angels who stood beside the Lord to view the awakening of the evil one. And
the last thing, sorry to
You're right.
pause you.
You're right.
The last thing I'd just like to say is, if they did happen to find a
specimen near, they would, no one would know about it.
It would just be gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit the paradigm.
No, it doesn't.
So
Yeah,
that'd
what's a bit of a dinosaur tail doing here? No,
that's
we won't
just oops art.
Yeah.
So we'll just throw that away.
It's in the libraries in England somewhere.
In the Smithsonian.
In the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
In the Vatican, either.
Yeah. So, sorry, I just
You're
had
right,
to
mate.
pause you there.
No, you're right. There were many a smile on the faces of the angels who stood beside the Lord to view the awakening of the evil one. And the Lord remarked, it appeared that there is one among you that could become an earth brother to Lucifer. However, there was also a smile on his face, and no chastisement was felt. Said the Lord to the assembled angels, thy work was indeed well done. This great blast which awoke the devil has not injured the temples thou built. I remember because it refracted, didn't it? They built the pyramid, then the sun hit the pyramid, it refracted, and the explosion
It created a big ball above.
of light. Yep, and it woke Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
It was planned by me that the polished surface of the limestone on the pyramid should dull and be transmuted by the release of energy from the sun, so that there be no recurrence. Neither was there any sickness of radiation, but only shock waves. Thou art dismissed. Let the creatures of the earth refine themselves, and me. Isn't that interesting? So he's saying that blast dulled the limestone, potentially.
Yeah, to basically render the casing stones inactive. Sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, to render the casing stones inactive, yeah. But it was still known as the Great Pyramid was still known as the Light. I can never remember the name, but we used to. It's in the archives. Look it up. And so in the valley of the Nile and elsewhere on the planet Earth, generation followed generation, century followed century, and men again began to acquire the stature of God's intention, his own image. The Lord ever observed this awakening and growth, and he awaited with expectancy the time when man would again discover him. Spoke the Lord to his angels, "Look how clever this new generations of earthlings have become. They've duplicated in wonderful detail the great pyramid temple which you built. They do not understand the mystery of the lion with my likeness for a head, and neither do they seem to know about the sighting device and the significance of Polaris. Mark my words, soon one amongst them will discover me. How great will be my rejoicing then, and to that one who is illuminated, great will be his reward." Why the capital M? Remember, we're looking at it as a codex, you know what I mean? Dynasties of sun worshippers came and went, and at last, 60 centuries removed from the Earth's first devastating atomic war, a young pharaoh, Amenhotep IV, appeared on the scene. In the quiet of the night, he entered the temple of the Great Pyramid. He gazed up at Polaris and across at me, the mighty Sphinx, and in a brilliant flash of inspired awakening, he found God. What rejoicing in heaven! God could hardly contain himself. Calling his angels together, he cried, "See, see, my kingdom on earth is again becoming established. One amongst my people has again discovered me. I dedicate now to his memory forevermore the rose and the bee." Noble Amenhotep IV was overwhelmed with the magnitude of his awakening. His prayers of praise, entreaty, and supplication to his newly found Creator make some of the most inspired reading of all time. Excuse me. Earth listener, thou art beginning to show signs of weariness at the voice of the Sphinx. The rest of the story of the new civilization is well recorded and needs no comments here except in review and in new revelation until now unrecorded.
Can we just pause there for a second?
Sure.
So, as he's talking about again discovering me and the like, I can't help but to think non-human entities, right?
Absolutely.
And where I'm sort of toying with a timeline in my mind about, like, so I'm thinking he's writing this in the 50s.
Well, he's experiencing this in the 50s.
That's right. So, he's talking about the discovery by the ancient Egyptians
of the new North
him.
Star. Yeah.
But why is the religious God praising him for finding the fact that he looks upon Polaris
and discovers me?
So he's looking off the earth and
at
at a star, and he discovers me. It's almost like to discover the God in the story. You have to look into the cosmos and unlock the clues that are within the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid to understand
the magnitude of God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just picking up a lot of sort of extraterrestrial undertones coming through. Maybe it's my bias, I don't know, but that's just what I'm picking up on.
Well, we want the aliens to come right now. It'd be a good time. However, look, I think there's extraterrestrial influences. Are they devils, interdimensional beings, or are they physical? Look, D, all of the above. Maybe. I don't know. You know, I'm open to all ideas. We're going to learn about Moses. The magnificent Moses leads the vanguard of many prophets that followed, who in the temple of the Great Pyramid discovered for themselves the true and living God. Of course, evil Lucifer became very active again, and things never run smoothly when he is in evidence. Nevertheless, God's kingdom gained from century to century under the earth leadership of examples set by Moses, Solomon, David, Ezekiel, Job, Isaiah, and many others whose records stand. look, I don't. Yeah, God's kingdom might have gained, but they look. That religion is responsible for more death than anything ever, pretty much.
Yeah, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I don't blame the religion.
No.
I blame
The people.
the human
The
element.
vanity of man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what religion would have been in power.
Yeah, in the name of
whichever
of
one
God,
it was, it would have done the same.
Yeah. When these great of the new generation petitioned God so eloquently for love and understanding, he was ever moved to bring new blessings to his people. As the centuries grew, God in conference with his angels did muse. My creatures are getting brighter but day by day. Look at that Pythagoras. Surely he is not far away from the atom and its secrets. Look how busy old Lucifer has become again. Is the whole sorry, tragic mistake of the misuse of atomic power to be endured again? And the angels of the Lord reminded him of the petitions of his beloved prophets, that God put a son on earth and established forevermore a kingdom of love. You know about Jesus, man? I would believe in him a lot more if he was promoted as a carpenter dude who partied, had a missus, maybe had a kid, was a tradie, chilled out, partied, and realised that love is the answer and tried to spread the word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If that's how Jesus was promoted, that's a whole different story to he died for our sins and blah, 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 and all the dark messaging and stuff that comes through that writing.
Yeah.
But what if Jesus just was a dude who was a carpenter? Maybe he accidentally lit a DMT tree on fire, and came back and had love as the answer and spread the word. Or maybe, you know what I mean?
Or what if he was just tapped on the shoulder?
Yeah.
Like when you mentioned Brothers of the Serpent before, like any of the millions of other people who have been, sort of thing, tapped on the shoulder and said, hey, like Noah, hey, have a go at this. Do you think this might help? A voice on the shoulder, a voice in the corner of the room, sort of thing, by angels. And once again, offsets a path. So why not both sides of the story?
Could be both.
He was a carpenter. It's just the fact that they, over the thousands of the years, parts that aren't inspirational and extreme, just slowly got waned out of the story, got edited out of the story, like the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
There's heaps of books that they didn't put in the Bible.
They just didn't publish, yeah.
That's it, yeah. That they just didn't make the Roman list.
Yeah, I nearly got in a fist fight with a mate of mine who was a born-again Christian. He said, I believe in the Bible. And I said, which one?
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, which one are we talking about? There's at least 30 of them.
Yeah.
It's like, and each one was written to the narrative of the time, Anyway, we're spewing off track. But yeah, love is the answer, again, right? God said, it shall be done. This time will put the devil in his place forever. Turning to an exalted angel, he exclaimed, get thee to planet Earth, select a virgin of purity, and acquaint her of my desire and my decree. I place another constellation in the heavens, I, star of east, my symbol and herald of love to my people of earth. None other will match its sparkle and brilliance, so mote it be. The whole sad and poignant story thou knowest from thence on, Earth-child. Many word merchants have tried to postulate away by mythical comparison the magnificence of that most holy of all acts of God, the birth of his Son here on earth, wherein he was embodied in human form the mighty atom of God's love, plus the atom of electrical flame. None have properly pictured the horror and tragedy of the betrayal and death of God's Son, or the true glory and significance of his resurrection and the ascension, with the guarantee of his return to the planet Earth. And again, 8,000 years removed from the debacle of devastation, the despicable devil won, for a short time, another round in his fight with the Lord. Because that's the other thing too, they did sort of pin Jesus on the cross, you know what I mean? They branded him a heretic and all that sort of stuff. Like, it is a bit of a nasty story if you know the true story and what they used to mean. But the thing is, there's evidence to suggest it wasn't a cross; it was a T that the Romans used to use, and that was a common thing that they did. You know, Jesus wasn't special for being crucified.
Oh,
there
100%.
was fields of
Crucifixion was just the form of punishment
in the day. Yeah,
in that day.
Inspired scribes, apostles, and prophets have eloquently pictured that tragic time, but all without exception overlooked the tragedy in heaven. For some unexplainable reason, none considered the overwhelming grief of the Lord at the murder of his Son, the great God, whose omnipotent heart beats even as thine and all of his creatures, not only on the planet Earth but throughout the universe, a heart-rending, terrifying grief that on the third day turned into rage at the injustice of it all. God resurrected his Son, and then in his terrible wrath thought to destroy once and for all the evil Lucifer and his stronghold, the planet Earth. Let no scribe tell you that the puny, miserable Napoleon with his maggot-infested brain, that's a bit nasty, bred there by the very sperm of the devil's offal, caused this damage to the face of the Sphinx with his toy cannon. Oh, okay, he's having to go about shooting the nose off.
Well, Napoleon again.
Yeah.
He had a daemon.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He had someone guiding him.
Yeah.
I want to say that again because I was realised what he did.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. It was a tangent.
Let no scribe tell you that the puny, miserable Napoleon with his maggot-infested brain, bred there by the very sperm of the devil's offal, caused this damage to the face of the Sphinx with his toy cannon. God's very thoughts started in motion the forces of catastrophe. Polaris started to retire from its fixed position. The moon of the earth started to disintegrate, and huge spheres of its substance joined the forces of gravity. Your modern scientists, little one, with their long glasses, need wonder no further about the craters of the moon. Okay. Hang on a second. Polaris started to retire from its fixed position. The moon of the earth started to disintegrate, and huge spheres of its substance joined the forces of gravity. Your modern scientists, little one, with their long glasses, need wonder no further about the craters on the moon. My face cracked, and the limestone veneer of the Great Pyramid started to fall away. That's interesting. Isn't that interesting little, Write this in thy book, Earth Child. The resurrected Christ joined with his Holy Virgin Mother in their most eloquent plea of all time that the immortal God and Father stay his hand. And God heeded their pleas, and it is only reason you and thy generation are alive on earth today. Look, have you heard about the mud floods, man? The mud floods is an interesting story.
Mud floods?
Yeah.
They're like mud bloods?
No, mud floods. No, like mud floods. Apparently there was a massive mud flood X amount of years ago.
Okay.
And I wonder whether it was pieces of the moon.
That would tie together nicely, wouldn't it?
Anyway, little listener, the revelation of the Sphinx soon ends. The evil Lucifer will never leave thy elbow from now on. The heavy hand of transition rests upon thy shoulder, and thou seem unable to shake it off. Thou hast not earned the right to the power to successfully command. Get thee behind me, Satan, yet have no fear. These final words of the Sphinx command thy fate. Thou art but a neophyte in the teachings of arcane and esoteric wisdom and knowledge, but in the teachings of arcane and esoteric wisdom and knowledge. That was a lot of, that's the same, if you were to capture what was happening in the 50s, teachings of the arcane and esoteric wisdom and knowledge would probably be a pretty good way to describe that. But if those who have access to the archives and who have earned illumination question the authenticity of thy cosmic consciousness, let them ask from what source thou hast discovered the true meaning and the symbolism of the word ox, O-X, with an exclamation mark. Okay. The voice of the mighty Sphinx became soft and musical, and the man from Baltimore listened with rapt and reverent attention to these final words. O little immortal segment of the soul of God, after many fluttering attempts thou hast taken flight and sighted on the perch of thy destiny. Let no one interfere, think not of betrayal now. Those who would attempt such could find no cavern far enough removed from the wrath of heaven in which to hide, not only for themselves, but for the souls of all their ancestors in the line back to the beginning of time. In these past years thou hast suffered in sympathy with the brutal persecution of the innocent whose only manifestation and action in a troubled time is the profession of love for God, the Holy Virgin Mother and her magnificent Son, sired by the will of God. It's really heavy on the God stuff, man.
Well, it's almost like he's chosen a side.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the time we're in, the late 1800s into the early 1900s was the peak of your Masonic.
All the secret societies.
The secret societies.
Age of the Golden Dawn and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The OTO, because it was the peak of Western mysticism.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
They were all looking for answers.
And
a lot
science through God, too, was one of those things as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, a lot of the ritualistic stuff they were doing to a God-fearing man would be seen as devil worshipping. That's what they used to.
Absolutely.
That's what they used to tar everyone.
Absolutely.
With,
Yeah.
Was you're a devil worshipper. In this, it seems as though he's picking his side and being like, I'm on the side of God, not on the side of whatever other demons you wish to talk to, sort of thing, through the processes that everyone seemed to be doing.
Yeah, there was definitely a side there, isn't it? Okay. If a sincere desire to right these insufferable wrongs can be construed as martyrish, messianic, or insane, God and his angels are in thy company. Write these words in thy little book. Fear not the scoff and scorn of the blasphemers. Long after they are gone, thy work will be remembered and treasured by those who have turned to God, and those despicable few, the right-hand saints of the devil himself, who to promote their dynasty of control over the animal, vegetable, and mineral wealth of the earth, ever resort to the spilling of innocent blood for the attainment of their selfish ends. Fear not their retaliation. Actually, I'm going to reread that. That's a very interesting. Okay, write these words in thy little book. Fear not the scoff and scorn of the blasphemers. Long after they are gone, thy work will be remembered and treasured by those who have turned to God, and those despicable few, the right-hand saints of the devil himself, who to promote their dynasty of control over the animal, vegetable, and mineral wealth of the earth, ever resort to the spilling of innocent blood for the attainment of their selfish ends. Fear not their retaliation. See, those people that we know who they are, a lot of them would call themselves God-fearing people.
100%.
Whereas in this version, they are the right hand of the devil himself.
Yeah.
And to those soothsayers who would be philosophers who stand and testify over the murdered blood of an innocent youth, or glance the other way at the rape of a holy sister and proclaim that it is God's will, remind such that their diseased thinking will bring in time the stench to their nostrils they have so heartily earned. Wow. It gets dark real quick, man.
Yeah.
Let these words be a reminder to all that God has the power and the will to break his covenant with Lucifer. In less than the twinkle of an eye, he can turn this sinful earth planet into a mad, flaming hell of wrath. The Armageddon pictured so eloquently by St. John would, by comparison, be a bedtime story for a restless child.
Well, and that's another thing to think about. A lot of those secret societies were all either questing to bring into being the end of the earth or defend it.
Yeah.
That was basically the bottom line. That was the credo at the back of all of those societies.
Yeah.
They were all doing what they were doing for the betterment. Which again he's touching on here, so it's very poignant for the time.
And he misspelled Armageddon, but that could be the spelling. It could be the spelling of the time, but it also could be part of the.
Could be something.
Because the thing is, this is it's a pretty gripping story, so I'm sort of missing the codex bit at the moment.
Oh, 100%. Not that I'd even pick up on the codex thing anyway.
No. Let me repeat, none should forget, as evidenced by the crumble in my face, that the only reason thou and thy brethren are alive on this planet today was the eloquent petition of the immortal Christ and his holy mother that God stay his hand. Mine are not the words of prophecy, but this thou must write also in thy little book. The immortal Christ himself, who has no covenant with the evil Lucifer, he has ever respecting his Father's wish to overcome evil with love, even unto death has stayed his hand. But any moment, even now, whilst thou listen, he could return to this earthly sphere and justifiably slay the devil and his henchmen with the mighty sword of his indignation. Well, look, might be a good time to do that, but, whatever. Look at the next sentence. The devil's weapons of vanity, hate, and fear are certainly working overtime here now on earth as they did those many thousands years past, and surely the most dull-witted cannot fail to sense the parallel. The churches of worship to God are being torn down and destroyed by the mad dialectics from the north, and every innocent human being persecuted in the name of God primes the fuse or sets the trigger for an atomic blast. In the presently planned and controlled atomic war of guided missiles so cunningly devised by Lucifer and his mortal saints, wherein it is planned that a few million innocent people will be slaughtered, what dost thou think will happen to God's gifts to this humanity, and the rose and the bee which were dedicated to Ahimotep IV? Surely they will disappear from the earth, and their civilization will reel back 4,000 years. You've got to remember 1958, middle of the Cold War.
That's
like
he just went there, didn't he?
Yeah.
He basically painted that picture in the fact that, he reminded me that he's in the middle of the Cold War.
Yeah.
They are scared.
There's literally missiles pointed.
That's right.
Do you know what's fascinating, though? Do you not think that the two sides, whatever they are, do you not think that there's a target pattern for Brisbane? Of course there is. For intercontinental ballistic missiles. Well, not for Brisbane, but for Amberley.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to pretend that there isn't missiles still pointed at each other today is a misconception.
What I find really amazing and against human nature as I understand it is that no one ever pushed those missiles.
No one's pushed the button
it
yet.
makes me wonder if there isn't a staying hand from elsewhere.
Going no.
Yeah.
But I mean, isn't there, remember those tests, and I think it was one of stories you brought, where they tried to test a nuclear missile in space and it short-circuited or it disappeared or...
I believe that was the one with the red light circling around it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that basically disarmed it or something along those lines.
The other thing to remember too is we actually, well, not we, but the Americans bombed the moon.
Yeah.
In the early 70s.
Yeah.
Why did they bomb the moon? But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Why?
Why? Yeah. So yeah, he's in his world. He's in the middle of missiles standing at each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he thinks at any second it's going to come down.
That's it.
And there's another lens.
Fear that's going through society at that time.
Yeah.
It was all before viral. It was all nuclear. The nuclear threat really is. Well, from when we were kids, I remember when the French were testing in the
Bikini Atoll,
Mururoa Atoll.
Yeah.
That was the last one I remember. I don't remember Bikini.
I think that might be the last one.
Yeah,
with Mururoa Atoll.
Mururoa. That was the
apart from the North Koreans. I mean, they blow one every now and again.
Yeah. But North Korea, shmeh. But no, that was the last real nuclear testing I remember, whereby like there was lots of protests. It was on mainstream media. Blah 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 blah.
Well, they videotaped it and we all saw it too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's right. So since then, since the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s,
there's been no more testing. Yeah.
It's been very quiet. If there has been testing, it's been hush hush.
Yeah, in the middle.
It's not in the public eye anymore.
Well, it's not like the media is manipulated or controlled or there's a narrative or coercion happening at any point or stage right now.
No, but all that aside, the nuclear threat really died away.
Yeah.
There is no fear of the nuclear threat anymore.
No.
Every now and again, they'll mention North Korea, with intercontinental
Ballistic
missiles and blah. But there's no not like at this time.
Yeah, where he's coming
when they
from.
were waiting
Yeah.
every minute, right through the 50s, 60s, they were training kids to like get under desks and shit.
Yeah, bunkers in backyards.
Exactly.
And stuff
So
like that.
it's a completely different mindset.
And time, yeah. The hyacinth, the daffodil, the poppy, and the lily of the field will become no more. The blade of grass will become a museum piece, and the clay of which thou art a part will crystallize to sand under thy feet. Thou shalt turn from blaring loudspeakers to seek the music of the lark and the mockingbird, aye, even the chirp of the sparrow, and hear such not. Thy major sustenance will become the pig, who will in turn be nourished by thy own excrement. Okay. Isms of all kind will rule thy remaining desecrated temples of worship, and the innocent voice of a breeze will cause thee to rush to the whirling of prayer wheels in memory of some ancestor whom thou knowest not. The words of the Sphinx become slow and measured, and like a whisper of confidence these last words were spoken. Earth child, thy material body with its 5 senses has feasted many times on the bitter locust of defeat, betrayal, and despair, and thy spirit, as an innocent child, when the guardian safely led thee along the gay brooks of the forest, partook to its fill the wild honey sweetness of God's creations. Thou knew where to search for the mountain teaberry to revel in its wintergreen taste, and the root of the wild gentian with its surface stem of rare botanical formation could not be hidden from thee. Thy body feasted upon, thy spirit gained strength from the beech nut, the hickory nut, the butternut, and the wild American chestnut, which is no more. And the brook trout that you snatched from the reptile's mouth signifies now to thee a symbol by its beautiful red speckled sides, the drops of blood of the immortal Christ shed for humanity. Surely thy mind is emerging clear and clean, with a message true from the wilderness of fear, hate, and chaos that has engulfed this generation. Let no adulation of the material senses turn thy head, and fear not that thou should have it served upon a charger by the request of some modern dancing maid. The cosmic has no other tasks for thee. In due time thou wilt be named, so mote it be. The cloud that had shadowed the face of the full moon there on the Egyptian desert drifted by. The voice of the Sphinx ceased. The hushed wind resumed its complaint, and the man returned to him in his study in Baltimore. The flame of the candle was snuffed. Then, by his desk light, and with considerable awe, he began to write what is recorded here. The end. Whoa.
That was a deep section of text.
It's a deep story, man. And, yeah, not much to say at this point. I don't. It's a hell of a creation story and a different version of events, and the right hand of Lucifer being the materialist is, I can see that. Yeah, I don't have anything for that at the moment. So we'll crack on, eh? We've got a
isn't sorry, I just forgot for a second that people can't see it. Because the poem was sitting on the screen, and I read the poem, and then I was about to talk about it, and I'm like, oh, hang on, no one's read that yet.
No. Star of the East, shine down again upon this world of troubled
men.
Thanks, mate.
Is not the Star of the East the devil, like Lucifer?
Could be.
I
don't know. And this is the thing: the symbolism is all messed up, man.
Yeah,
it's like the pentacle, dude. The pentacle is a mark of protection.
Yeah. Pentagram?
Pentagram.
Can you pass me over that devil's water?
Devil's water? Yeah, here you go, mate. Oh, just trashing everything.
Yoink.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, The Star of the East shone down again and upon this world of troubled men by Percy Crosby. I'm not sure.
Star of the East. Oh, no. Star of the East. Or was it the Morning Star? The Morning Star may have been Lucifer.
Could be.
I don't know.
Testament. Now this little book nears its end, a work of romance, comedy, tragedy, fact, and mystical revelations. Most no doubt will treat it lightly, and many will consider it fantastic. However, among the limited initiate there may be a kinship of feeling that the messages in this manuscript contain the plaintive petition of a mortal soul seeking to justify and overcome its mortal karma. And a few among the Illuminati, a few among the Illuminati will ponder deeply and long regarding the time and the dates of the cosmic revelations.
Well, that's an old school secret society right there.
It is, yeah. And look, the thing is, you think the time and dates of the cosmic revelations, if you think about it, he's saying 10,000 years ago something went catastrophically wrong.
Yeah.
We know that's true now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we did sort of ponder that if you think about it. Not saying we're Illuminati.
No, but could it also be that knowledge of the event was esoteric?
An Illuminati just means enlightened.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
And all of these secret societies were all keepers of knowledge.
Yeah.
In a certain direction.
True.
What if he's mentioning that part of their wisdom was the knowing of the event that had happened, like the circumstances of the event that happened 12,800 years ago.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Because, it's coming to light in the modern day scientific paradigm now, but he's writing about this in the 50s. So maybe in the 50s it was esoteric knowledge.
True.
It was hidden, not, and also the true happenings are still hidden to us.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, even though we're accepting the fact that a cataclysm may have happened 12,800 years ago, I still don't know what caused it.
And what was
was
before?
It an impact? Was it solar flares? Was it all of the above?
Yeah.
Was it a pyramid nuclear bomb?
That Lucifer set off.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. The reason this work was created is for the fact it reveals and conceals. For contained within these pages in simple words and phrases, yet hard to decipher, are the complete specifications for a fourth-dimensional gravity engine that utilises the straight line and the curve. This engine will operate continuously without tension or dissipation of the energy that causes it to operate. It will perform many tasks in the transmission of power by belts, gears, drive shafts, crankshafts, and so forth. The conversion of electricity into usable energy by operating conventional dynamos and generators is its major field of utilisation.
Hang on a minute. He just gave away a thing. He just gave away a clue.
Yeah.
Conventional dynamos and generators.
Yeah, he there was nothing new that he used.
Yep.
But you got to remember too that all the classic dynamos and generators are based off Tesla's designs.
Yeah, well, it's all just spinning copper around. It's reversing the polarity of a electric engine.
Yeah.
Like that, an engine and a generator are basically the same thing. You just spin it the opposite direction. So instead of putting power into it, you're drawing power out of it.
Yeah. But all Tesla designs, all modern dynamos and
Yep.
generators are all Tesla design.
Yep.
The complete specifications need but a few hundred words, and the questions immediately arise. Why all the words of this book? Why this manner of concealed disclosure? There is sadness in my heart that this is caused to be, but were I to send the simple specifications to my government without a demonstration, they may not be taken seriously, and the information in no time at all could be in the murderous hands of the red maniacs. Oh, there you go.
Oh, the commie bastards.
Exactly. Who are sworn to destroy this last weakening stronghold of the freedom and Christianity. Well, that didn't happen.
Well, now he's getting patriotic.
Yeah, that's right. The reason a demonstration cannot be made is the startling fact that my engine, simple as it is, enters the field of atomic energy, and the pilot test will indeed be dangerous.
That fool, he should have feared his own government more than the
Exactly.
foreigners. He didn't know.
He didn't know, exactly. The government took everything, sent him to jail for 14 years. When the test is made by me, alone and unaided, as it appears it will be, the immediate area of the test may become devastatingly uninhabitable. I could not mortally survive it. Nevertheless, the test is considered with keen anticipation. No aid is asked, and there will be no solicitations. Now, we know from the first podcast that technically they tested it. They ran it. He ran all sorts of ones, apparently.
Tested it thousands of times, didn't he?
Apparently. But this would be after this, I think.
Yeah.
I shall never again prostrate myself to any group of skeptics or scoffers who continually bleat that there has been accomplished here cannot be done. In time the record will speak for itself. Some of the words of this manuscript and its art will survive in the hearts of men when the letters behind the names of the presently exalted will be undecipherable hieroglyphics in the new age of antiquity. What an insufferable dictatorial lobby our modern empirical science has created for itself. There's an interesting sentence, considering what we're dealing with right now. 90% of its subjects are like stealthy jackals, snatching tidbits from the feast. Past history proves, and the new history will amplify, that the lasting works of art have ever been created outside the realms of snobbery. Pharmaceutical industrial complex, anyone?
Oh, all of the above.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you could also point that at archaeology.
Archaeology,
you know what I mean? Like
any sort of modern sciences.
Modern science.
Yeah.
90% of the people just recycle what the other people put in the textbooks.
Exactly. And if you don't do that, then you are ridiculed.
That's right.
And to those critics of the ideal of this paper who will point fingers at sanity and exclaim, "We know his sickness, he has lost himself trying to save the world," to such I offer the challenge that they devote all of their hours of relaxation for a score of years in concentrated research and experimentation, and then stake their mortal life on the final experience. They must also produce the work comparable to this and prepared to be given away. Beyond these, I have no further comments. Now back to my anticipated test, which will be conducted in an isolated area not yet selected, but likely atop of one of the beloved mountains of my youth. Here now is revealed some of my knowledge of the mighty atom. Think what you may, but the immutable law of the triangle, there you go, enters the atomic field, and there are basically just 3 atoms in the entire universe. They are the atom of organic flame with its expansion, contraction, and conversion of elements, which is signified by gravity. The atom of electrical flame with its transmutation of elements, which is signified by magnetic electricity. And last, but first, the atom of love, the creator of his elements, which is the noblest manifestation of God himself. The ether, I would say, is what he's talking about. It's the thing that joins everything together that we can't see and we don't understand. Allegorically, we say that the atom of organic flame is representative of the devil. The atom of electrical flame, which permeates every crevice of the entire universe, is the tool of God ministered by his angels, and also the devil who was once an angel. Wherever there is mass, the atom of organic flame manifests. In contrast, the atom of electrical flame exists with or without mass. Localizing to the planet Earth and its sun, we know that all of the entire mass of the Earth contains the stored up energy from the sun, and that most of this mass is subject to organic flame. The accepted postulation that our electrical energy also originates in the sun is indeed erroneous. Electrical energy encompasses all space. And to return to the Earth, the Moon is the storage space for the atom of electrical flame, just as the Earth is for the atom of organic flame. There could be no planet without its moon or moons, or an electrical satellite field. Undoubtedly, comets are planets that have lost their moon. It's interesting. God's atom of love that ever dominates, yet is often in conflict with the 2 material atoms, is continually generated into material force by the beating hearts of every living creature in the universe. Its greatest potency is ever apparent in the love of a mother for the newborn. This mighty force manifests alike in the castle of the prince or the hut of the savage, and it is there with the wild she-wolf in her arctic den as she suckles her newborn litter of whelps. Billions of trash words are written yearly in many languages about love.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, isn't it? Always it is cheapened and classified in many ways as an emotion of sex, a biological urge, a libido, or the ego, and so on. Yeah, man, I love this. And always the sinister hand of sin is incorporated by the devil himself, who throws in the face of God his filthy trinity of insult, fornication, and adultery, or acts of lewdness. And God, in magnificence of compassion, too great even for the devil's comprehension, offers the beatitudes of repentance to even the most depraved sinner, and has set aside in heaven the sanctuary and the mansion for his immortal soul. You said something in the last podcast, because
that's time.
Rookie mistake. You said something in the last podcast that Mate, he does like a God religion sandwich, right?
Yeah.
God, God,
yeah.
God, trippy scientific stuff, God, God, God. Because we've just flipped from telling us about atoms to we're back to devil and Lucifer and
So true.
right?
Yep. Another religion sandwich.
Yeah. And God, in his magnificence and compassion too great for even the devil's comprehension, offers the beatitudes of repentance to even the most depraved sinner, and has set aside in heaven a sanctuary and a mansion for his immortal soul. And the sinner's only acts of repentance need be the mote removed from his eyes, replaced by the gleam of recognition to God and the cessation of his sin. With a preciousness beyond mortal understanding, God tolerates and makes compensation for the fact that the beating heart of the fallen has the same generating power as that of the saint in the production and force of his atom of love.
I feel like we just went from Old Testament to New Testament.
Yeah, maybe.
Like we've gone from
Lucifer,
vengeful God to loving God now.
Yeah.
I just picked up on that, and I was like, hang on, it's a different God now.
Yeah,
I feel he's very loving.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
What fools we mortals be. You are right, Mr. Dickens. How stupid can we get? Love is the atomic force of God. It is vibratory, and it covers the entire spectrum of all elements. Told you, ether. It has the highest and lowest pitch in the full scale of all being, and it is now ruling the universe, sometimes with and sometimes in contest with the material atoms. The material atoms of organic and electrical flame. Some day soon, it is prayed by me and all of the sincere followers of St. John, the love atom will conquer the planet Earth, and then the biblical prophecy will be justified. The lion and the lamb will gamble together, and none will wonder why. In order for this to materialize, the immortal Christ must return to the planet Earth, and the evil Lucifer must be cast aside. The good book emphatically states that he will be chained for 1,000 years. Is that time nigh? My, how the devil must hate me for a revival of these prophesied thoughts. Yet, at its eventide, the king of beasts will climb to the highest knoll in the meadow and face the golden rays of the setting sun. His coat will have the polish and sheen of rare satin, and his tawny waving mane will be free from the mat of blood of an innocent victim. The little lamb with its fleecy white coat and black stocking feet will face the sun at his side. And when the lion gives his vibratory roar, which will be heard for more leagues than the depth of the fullest sea, none will fear. None will fear. Instead, they too will be reminded to pause and worship their Creator. And a barefoot boy shall join the lion and the lamb, and the golden rays of the evening sun will be matched by the golden curls of his head as they reflect therefrom. The lion with his powerful jaws and mighty teeth will reach down and gently pick up the lamb and place it upon his back. The child will take a strand of the lion's mane in its tender hand and lead him from the knoll down into the meadow towards a crystal pool of water. The golden sun, now hardly departing, will turn the colour of red ripe tomato, and the night hawk will give his first cry. At the edge of the fountain a timid deer reclines with ears erect and nostrils that do not twitch with his scent of fear, and the boy, the lion, and the lamb, not wishing to disturb her tranquil reverie, will walk around her to the pool and partake therefrom their bounty of the cool, sweet waters. The magnificent departure of the sun leaves its spectators spellbound before they can request an encore. The vacated stage is again occupied by beautiful Venus, the evening star, who sparkles so brilliantly that her symbol of love is felt by all. And God will put his cherished ones to bed with a blessing and a benediction for the dawn to come. Amen. And now there's a bit of a thing. Now again, back to my discovery and pilot test. This simple little engine of mine, built in part from 10-cent store hardware, embodies the atom of organic flame, and that is why for the past 3 years I've searched my heart for the answer of how to bring this to the exclusive attention of Christian men of authority. And now that inspiration is here, there is a measure of happiness and peace in my soul. Not for long, Otis, not for long, brother. Calculated on the speed of light, the distance of this earthly warehouse of organic flame from its sun is approximately 8 minutes, and so, in the neighbourhood of 4 minutes, at exactly one half the distance, my engine in operation will divide the atom of organic flame. This contemplated pilot test of mine is no cause for alarm. There will be no chain reaction, and none will be heard except possibly me and other live creatures in the immediate vicinity. The test will be conducted in the dark of night, lest anyone be misled into thinking that my device is some puny direct contact solar engine. You mentioned that in the first podcast. That's like, you didn't want it to make it look like a solar powered thing. The simple yet accurate timing device will be the flame of one small candle, and its yellow, orange, and blue hue will be the only light. Which is interesting that that's the same sort of colour that's been described being seen under some of these other...
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. When the halfway distance between the Earth and the Sun has materialised, nature in great compensating act will transform the organic flame of the candle into the blue-white sapphire-like brilliance of the electromagnetic atom, and that's the other one, the blue-white.
Mm-hmm.
The mystical immutable law of the triangle will manifest as elements in the immediate vicinity and come under the spell of transmutation. The human eye is capable of recording vibrations within 1/billionth of a second, and therefore I expect to witness the transformation of the candle's flame. After that, the cosmic has all answers. I would be the father of all lies if I say that the final hour will not bring terror and apprehension. As things now stand, the test cannot be in the immediate future, as I must continue to hoe my garden, working a livelihood for myself and a worthy dependent, and the slow repayment of considerable financial debt accumulated during the course of tests and experimentation. At the time the final test is ready to be conducted, my government and some others will receive the complete revealing document. They got it. If anyone reading this feels concerned about me, cease. Instead, let your sympathies extend to the gallant youth who are dying in violence whilst this is being written, in order to create that which we cherish as a dream and strive ever to make reality: a sensible freedom, a just interpretation of the law, and the right to freely worship God. Well, we're still figuring that out, mate, 70 years later.
Yeah, never really quite worked out.
No. There shall ever be the vanity of refinement in my heart, and I request that this little book be never allowed to degenerate in its appearance and form in any reproductions. Let no words be added or none taken away, and let there be no changes. It must be remembered that this is a code work. If an infinitive is split, give thanks that it is not an atom. Never let the covers of this book be jacketed or adjectives be cheaply used to exploit it, but rather let the friend introduce it to his friend, this message, and those who care not for this recital, let them burn it. So mote it be. Witness my hand and seal, this 9th day of March in the 1952nd year of his nativity. Otis T. Carr, FRC, Baltimore, Maryland. Got a couple little things.
Where do we go now, my friend?
We're nearly at the end, man. So we've got an allegory. The veiled presentation in a figurative story of a meaning metaphorically implied, but not expressly stated. Allegory is a prolonged metaphor in which typically a series of actions are symbolic of other actions. He's just given us the code.
Well, allegory is, yeah.
Do you know what all the God and Lucifer stuff, man?
Mm-hmm.
It kept coming back. That's the allegory.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Prolonged metaphor.
Prolonged metaphor. How
100%.
long do we go on about God and Lucifer and God and this and Lucifer and God and Lucifer? That's a prolonged allegory.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes from, trippy science stuff, unbelievable God stuff, right?
Yeah.
Ending. And so, there's a bit of mystery here in poetry and prose, and perhaps a hidden treasure for those who find the key. But the key, where is it? That is the mystery. Otis T. Carr. Okay, so hang on, we got comments. Since this manuscript was completed on March 9, 1952, there have been two noticeably verifying occurrences. The press of the land has recently featured an article about the Sphinx and the pyramid with the observation that many renowned scholars feel that they are of a supernatural origin. And the same press has stated that little blades of grass, for which a few days had little less moisture and a little more radiation from the sun, has cost $1 billion loss in meat and dairy products. Another $1 billion losses recorded in fruits and vegetables for the same reason, all within a small area of this continent.
Was he just saying that his test that he conducted was reported and he caused $1 billion of losses?
I don't know.
Is that what he's saying there?
I don't know. Who can question that the metabolism of existence for organic, vegetable, and animal life, including man upon the planet Earth, which is delicately balanced mechanism? 3 points or 3 degrees above or below a line is sufficient enough to cause disaster. And there's a picture of...
As you scrolled up then, I've got to explain it to everyone.
There's a picture on the side.
The picture is tilted on its side, and as you scrolled up, whichever dude is standing there on the left,
Yeah.
he was on the top.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on a minute, is this cunt levitating?
Levitating. So I think that's Otis here. This guy is
Otis pointing.
Otis
Yep.
is the one pointing, and this is his design.
He's holding up a diagram that looks like something I produced in year 4.
Yeah.
Like what did we used to call them?
Oh,
It was
the big posters. What were
the
they
big
called?
posters, and you used to stick
Oh,
stuff on the
no.
cardboard, and you'd roll it up and take it in for your
What was that
class
called?
presentation.
Not a collage. Is it a collage?
No, it wasn't a collage.
What was it bloody called?
It was like a P letter. It was like it wasn't a poster. It was
it was
project.
Project something.
I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
that's going to drive me
I feel
insane.
like all Australian kids of our age would
know exactly what we're talking about.
what we're talking about.
However, okay, so that's it, man. That picture is it.
That's it. That's the end.
That's the end.
We reached it.
Okay. So the allegories kind of put a different lens on it.
Well, yeah. It could be that final clue as the whole thing finishes.
Because the prolonged allegory throughout the entire story was the shift back to heavy religious connotation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The religious sandwiches all the way through.
Yeah.
Led into by
like trippy science stuff, or
multiple pages of poetry.
Yeah, dark poetry. And,
yeah,
and different spacings and stuff. Like, look, man, I don't know. Like, bit of a journey. I'm super stoked that we did this.
It was a good read, though.
Yeah,
it was a bit enlightening.
Absolutely. And look, there's some interesting ideas that he's got. Because, like, as we said, like, the Brothers of the Serpent with, what's his name, Marty Garver. They're up to the 6th episode. This Marty Garver is like an encyclopedia of this stuff. I can't believe his level of research. I bow down to him.
Dude, I think this guy's got a fucking...
He's been tapped on the shoulder.
He's automatic writing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's doing a great job for someone who's pulling this... Obviously, he's done years and years of research.
And he's just,
but he's pulling this shit out his ass. He's
the Serpent Boys have, let him have a platform, which is really cool.
Look, and I look forward to those podcasts with him. They are really well put together.
And I think through the lens of the information that we've learned through those podcasts, and look, those boys do an excellent job. They really do. However, I have sent them 3 emails and they haven't got back to me. So, come on, boys.
Yeah.
Any of my listeners, send an email to Brothers of the Serpent and tell them to get in touch with Unlocking the Code.
Yeah.
Because I think we could do something. Could be fun.
Yeah.
However, through the lens of that Marty's given us, we're all through the 50s and the late 40s and into the 50s and 60s. There's this trippy, esoteric, and look, there's every chance that Otis served in World War II. I mean, if you look how old he is in 1958,
yeah,
right, he would have probably served in some capacity in World War II in some version. I didn't look into that, right? It's a completely different lens, but understanding that multiple people and multiple organisations across the world had many, many different people getting these downloads and these weird experiences, and which leads into Skywalker Ranch and Roswell and LSD experiments and all this weird stuff that we now know that was going on back then. And it seemed that in some ways a lot of it was just shut down, right? So did they get it to a dead end, or it's like...
Did they get it to a dead end, or did they get answers and then it never shut down, it just went underground in terms of like... we hear about like there seeming to be a lot of cases of it back in the early 20th century, as in the whole, what am I talking about? I'm talking about automatic writing,
downloads.
What's the one where you view things?
Remote viewing.
Yeah. They were doing a lot of looking into this stuff. Plus, also, we're looking back at a historical point of view.
Yeah, Cold War.
So we've also got freedom of information stuff
blast,
released. I mean? Yeah, exactly. They feel like it's not that important anymore. What they've got. What happened then isn't.
But
the
it's all
top
still
secrets.
redacted documents as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you look
That's
at the
right.
Freedom of Information documents for Otis Carr, a whole heap of that stuff was redacted, right?
Yeah.
The old black pen was through a fair bit of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
That's right.
they've released the documents, but
Yeah, but you can't see them.
they were black
can't
pen.
see
They
the
were
good
black
stuff.
penned when they were put away. You know what I mean? Like,
It was for my eyes only.
Yeah.
As I erase this shit
that's right. Yeah,
from the record.
from the record that it doesn't exist anymore. And
History is written by the victor.
and look, it does come into question. You know, and I ask you, do you think now that we've read this trippy dude's work, do you think he did what he said he did? What's your instinct on that?
Well, he kind of, I guess our next project is to look back into the 50s and see if there was what he stated in the news in terms of the dairy industry
the
and
dairy
stuff
industry,
losing money.
Yeah. Did he violate a whole heap of farmland with his test?
with a test, because he seems to claim that he kind of
There
did.
was the
I feel like he's pointing to that.
inference that yes, that was indeed the case.
And I felt like that was him stating,
he's like 3 degrees
like-
above or below can cause catastrophe.
remember that, kids.
Yeah. I went. So
Yeah.
he adjusted the dizzy the wrong degree. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's it. Yeah. Yeah, he was advanced to dizzy 8 degrees.
Yeah, advanced.
He's like, whoa,
Whoa,
that's
back
too
it up.
far.
Too
Back it
far.
up.
Back it up.
3 degrees either way, you're fine.
Yeah.
Don't go more than that.
Don't go more than that. Yeah, or stuff gets melted.
I don't know, man. It's highly possible,
It is.
you know?
Yeah, it's not out of the realms of possibility. And I think the more that we learn, and this trippy, esoteric, automatic writing stuff that is coming through, like the way he described that, so many of the stories that Marty Garza is telling us is very similar to that. You know, sitting in the thing, pondering the universe, and then I was taken away and shown that, you know, love is the answer.
I mean, maybe my only question is, I wonder if he wrote all that backwards. You know, because that seems to be a common thread with automatic writing.
Yeah, you start at the end.
Is they start at the end and they write it backwards, and then they have to sit there and turn it all back over again.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, because that's something that the watching angels like to do, apparently.
See things in the mirror form.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I wonder if it would be funny if there was like a later diary entry that sort of stated that. That would just be a funny piece of information.
Yeah. But man, look,
that would add it to the list of all this other shit that's happening at the same time.
I think interesting observations. I definitely had, like the God stuff was getting too much for me.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not
But
not anti-religious. However,
but see, we're also of our generation.
Yeah,
you know, and God is dead. You know,
and it's hard to look past the pedophilia and the corruption and the gold.
The Catholic Church really tainted everyone's feeling around that. But yeah, at the same time, without them discrediting themselves the way they did, I felt like as a civilization we were growing out of the religious. You know, the government took the religion out of the Australian schools.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
That happened when we were children, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all of that kind of stuff, I feel like it's just not as much a part of society as what it used to be.
But what's interesting is now we have the religion of science.
Yeah.
Right? To pretend that that's not a religion, the blind faith and the white coat and...
No, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
and we're under the oppression of the religion of science as we speak.
As we speak right now, yeah.
Yeah. It's causing a divide and conquer mentality. You know, it's in Queensland and the eastern seaboard of Australia. We have the separation of those who are racing for the 70 to 80% compliance and those who are pushing back against it, sort of thing. So it's exactly where we are right now, man. Pushing back against the religion of science.
Yeah, but is it not the vanity of man, right? When, the godfather of podcasting took ivermectin and got better in 2 days.
Yeah.
And,
I'm pretty.
You can't get ivermectin in Australia. They've banned it because it's a dangerous substance. Yet it won the Nobel Prize for fucking the best, one of the miracle drugs.
When was that?
2015.
It was 2015. Yeah.
That ivermectin won the Nobel Prize for being the most, effective yet.
Yeah. Strangely effective across a broad spectrum of things, because isn't ivermectin a wormer for fucking cattle or something?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Or horses?
It's all sorts of stuff, man.
Yeah.
But it's caused.
But like our primary, if we were to try and buy it here, that's where I always thought you bought it from the produce shop.
Yeah,
for
agricultural reasons.
Sort of reasons.
But it treats a number of different viral things. But
which is a weird piece of information in itself.
Yeah,
that broad spectrum. It brings you back to your plant medicines and stuff like that treat such a broad spectrum of ailments.
And it is the vanity of man that is preventing something that would be cheap and easy to solve the problem. Maybe, more testing, all those sorts of things.
No, exactly. And I agree. The vanity of man makes us believe we can produce a perfect
experimental medication.
Yeah, well, produce a perfect vaccination in such a short period of time. It's like you have to believe in the vanity of man to believe that is possible.
But also,
it's like we are so vain that we think we can do it.
Cash.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Straight up. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, bloody oath. And the funny thing is, the ones that were developed here in Queensland all got shut down. Like all got pushed back against. And the three that have been imported from some other country are all made by the three biggest fucking pharmaceutical companies on the planet. It's like the little vaccines that were created in the
labs in the medical laboratory down the road from here
in southeast Queensland. They were pushed back against, sort of thing. So it's all
the altar of science, man.
It's a deep cauldron of despair.
And how interesting is it that in 1952, how many of his ideas did we resonate with 70 years later?
I was actually very surprised at exactly that fact. There were so many things that he was talking about
that we still haven't figured out yet.
Yeah. that like resonate through to this time now.
This moment. And some of the descriptions of man and... Yeah. There were some deep things there, dude.
No, exactly, man. But yeah, I think that was a cool read, and I hope we've excited some people enough to go and read through it for themselves,
or at least taking you on a bit of a journey, a bit of an escape.
That's right.
And
maybe next time we should delve down. We should skip sides, because Otis definitely. Was pushing the God side.
The religious narrative, yeah.
Not only the religious one, but the God side of the religious narrative. Maybe we should delve down the Crowley,
the
Parsons, one of their books next time.
Look, I think, I do get a bit humbled by some of the Brothers of the Serpent stuff. They do a really good job, but I do think, we should have a bit of an interpretation on some of the other stuff, man. Look, I think this could be a thing, you know what I mean? I think maybe we have a bit of a think about some books, and maybe we come together for a reading every now and again and, do a bit of a exploration
100%
into different ideas.
Yeah.
Well, brother, thanks very much. Let's wrap it up.
You're welcome. It's been another good one. That was a quick one tonight.
Yeah, it was just a bit over an hour or so, which is good, man.
Bloody beautiful.
It's good timing. So
excellent.
Awesome, guys. Really appreciate all the time and the patience and the support you guys have given us over the years. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. Be kind. Be cool. Cheers, bro.
Signing off. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Today I sat in a field of paper daisies. The gentle breeze made the world wave to me. The day has come with a gold ring wrapped around it. I think I might just bathe in the sun. Then I just wanna be better, better than who I am, better than who I am, better than who I am, better than who I am. Moonlit river flows by gently, like an ocean made from the earth. It is healing all of my inner bleeding, even though it's only pictures in my mind. And I hope my world don't crash in over me, just like it did yesterday. I'm pretty sure the last mirror that I cracked was more than 7 years ago. And I don't want to wear these bullet holes no more. I want to kill my nightmare. Don't stick those pins in the dog alone.